So I was totally happy because for 7 years I'd just been this guy trying to make TV. Finally, at last, I was able to like make TV shows and have these silly ideas. And then the next year I got really lucky because it was kind of just like you walking in the year 2000. So if you put your feelers out enough, you'll get interesting people coming back if you kind of have interesting or curious taste. So what happened after I did America's Most Wanted, you know, like some interesting people would come in and be pitching crazy ideas. And you have to understand, this is before there was a term reality television.
Right.
I was just doing whatever I could.
Was there any other show like reality-based? Like
No.
you started everything, right?
Well, I mean, you know, there's that.
Come on, you're the godfather of
No.
Neil Young is the godfather of grunge. Stephen Chow's the godfather of reality.
Like Ripley's Believe It or Not. There was all kinds of stuff before that, but not really quite like this. So, anyway, I was having a good time, and I was finally getting to make my TV shows, and I was like, this is fun out here in Hollywood. So this guy came in and said, hey, I got a show. You got America's Most Wanted. I got a perfect show to make. Just go right next to it. I said, okay. So he said, I'm going to be doing this live drug bust in the Bahamas on these, like, crack dealers. I said, really, a live drug bust? That's going to violate a lot of civil rights. He goes, it's in the Bahamas. It's not the American civil rights. It's just a different set of rules. He brings it back, and he shows me this footage of a live Bahamian drug bust. I, like, fell off my chair. I was like, wow. It was these cops in this dangerous situation, live, busting this horrible crack house, and all I can tell you is most humans like me had never been that close to that kind of warfare, you know? Like, why would we unless we were crack dealers, you know? So most people don't have that kind of experience. And in those days, 1980, this is 1987 at this stage. In those days, everybody's saying, oh, we understand cops because we've seen Kojak and Hill Street Blues and all these real sissy shows, right, that are just nonsense, all these scripted things by these ivory tower writers in the Writers Guild. So everybody's idea of like, oh yeah, we've seen Columbo or Dragnet, we know what cops are. Nobody'd seen these kind of live drug busts before. So John Langley, the producer, said, I can do this, and I can do what we did in the Bahamas, and I can do it every single week. I said, really, you can? And it was the wildest thought that I'd ever heard of at that time, which is that you could catch these live drug busts, ride around with these people, not get shot, not be in violation of every civil rights. It was just the most radical idea at the time. So we went to Broward County, Florida, and what came back was the most, I mean, at the time, because now we've had cops on the air for 20 years, but at the time, when you saw this document that came back, it was like, America's Most Wanted stuff is sissy shit. This is like heroin. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And but anyway, we made it, and that one went on the air, and that one did very well too. And
which did better? Cops did better, right?
No, they were both like really equally big, and they were put together, so they just like held Saturday night together for the last 20 years. So anyway, that's a long-winded story. That's how I got started in TV, and then did other stuff, and ran USA and stuff like that.
But you became at what point did you become the president of Fox or the head of Fox?
I eventually, because what happened was by 1991, I had a lot of these shows on the air and had a lot of production. So we were supplying. My area was supplying like a quarter of all of Fox Broadcasting Company. So then Mr. Murdoch said, "Okay, you want to run the Fox stations and the Fox News Group and all that stuff?" So I said, "All right, why not?" So.
How long did you do that?
That's a complicated question because the truth of the matter is I did that for about a year, and then I got fired by Mr. Murdoch.
What happened with you and Mr. Murdoch?
Well,
I knew him as Rupert, by the way.
Yeah, right. Your buddy Rupert. Well, what happened was I gave this big speech in Aspen at a management meeting, and it was all about a topic that I...
Who was in the audience? We don't have to talk about who's in the audience.
Mr. Cheney, and, Pat Cheney, and Mr. Murdoch, and
like all the big wigs in television and the world.
Yeah, I'd been asked to give this kind of interesting speech or provocative speech on standards and practices in American television, and as a kind of childish thing to make my point, it's a little complicated. I decided to hire a stripper to make my point about nakedness on standards.
A female stripper?
No, it'd be a male stripper. Mr. Knoxville. Originally, to tell you the God's truth, because I knew that the audience was all these executives, I figured, well, first of all, female stripper would be too easy, right, to get a male stripper. But a male stripper is almost too easy. What if I got Long Dong Silver? So you know who he is, right?
Yeah, I heard of him.
Heard of him?
Yeah.
So I had my secretary at the time. This is such a total waste of time. It was funny at the time. I said, this would really kind of completely throw the audience if this guy took his pants off and there's Long Dong, right, who's kind of legendary. So I had my assistant, my secretary, trying to find, which was the hardest thing on earth, Long Dong Silver, from my speech in Aspen. And
I haven't heard this part of it.
And Isabel, bless her soul, was honestly trying to find Long Dong. So she's calling all over the United States and basically
Mr. Silver?
Chatsworth, trying to call up somewhere in the valley. Is there a Mr. Silver anywhere? First name Long Dong? And I could never find him. But the only aside is, I think there is no such thing as Long Dong. I think he's not a real person.
I saw pictures of Long Dong, though, right?
No, you see pictures, but
Is it just of the dog and not of the guy?
it's a prosthetic, I think.
Really?
I think there's a guy with some prosthetic. Anyway,
Because it does hang really low and it's flaccid,
No,
right? Oh, no, really? Long Dongs to the ankle? That's bullshit.
that's exactly it.
I
It's
mean-
prosthetic.
Yeah, that's prosthetic.
Right. It was just kind of, I just kind of having fun. That's all I can tell you. And then so it didn't go over well, and I got fired, and that was that.
Well, that's okay, you're head of Fox.
Yeah.
You had these huge hit shows. What did you do after that?
At the time, I had this kind of obsession with McDonald's. I ate about 2 or 3 Big Macs and large fries, and then a couple of double cheeseburgers every week, 3 times a week, and I just loved it. And I don't really love it so much anymore. I kind of like it. And I figured I'd go work there because I'd just never done that before. I just felt like it'd be a fun experience.
How long did that last for you?
That lasted about 6 weeks because it was really hard, and my fingers, I remember that's just turning over the spatula and just pushing the fingers. These fingers would just get burned to a crisp by the end of the day. And the window was really hard to operate, working the window, because it required more skill than I had.
For running the network, running the window is
one's much harder than the other. The window's much harder. The window's much harder because you have to take you have to talk on that walkie-talkie thing, take the order. You have to fulfill 2 of the orders that are coming in. You have to operate the frying machine, and you have to operate the coffee machine, and you have to give change to the person who's coming in the window in front of you, and it's hard, really hard. So I just wasn't very good at it.
What are you doing now?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm running this company called Wonder How To, which is a venture capital-backed company. We search and index the entire web for every free how-to video that's out there. So, whether it's how to make a tattoo gun from your electric toothbrush, to how to change a tire, to how to, grow basil, to how to grow psilocybin mushrooms, to, how to build a 2/5 scale Sherman tank.
No, it's great because I can't do fucking anything. You've asked me to do stuff for WonderHowTo.com, and I'm the wonder part of that equation.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how to do shit, but I go on your site and I can learn how to do anything, and I think it's, yeah.
So,
you got vision while the rest of the world has bifocals, Steven.